Good day to you all, ladies and gentlemen of all ages. Welcome to Halftime 360 yet again for a whole new amazing, amazingly looking forward to season. My name is Emmanuel, and this is.
Melvin.
And today we're once again going to dive into some exciting news about what took place, especially during the new EPL season for the year 2025-2026. Yeah, let's get right into it as we dive right into the matches and events that took place this very past weekend. So let's start off with the game between Liverpool and Bournemouth. It looks like Liverpool's talisman Mo Salah and substitute Federico Chiesa struck late goals as the Premier League champions beat Bournemouth 4-2 in a thriller on the opening night of the season at Anfield on Friday. On a bittersweet evening charged with emotion after the unfortunate July death of Liverpool forward Diogo Jota, the Reds, before beginning the match, paid their respectful tributes by having a moment of silence and also played the club's ever so loving anthem to show their respect for the late player. The game then began as newcomer Hugo Ekitike bagged a goal on his league debut to put the hosts ahead after 37 minutes, and Cody Gakpo went on to double the lead in the 49th minute. But then Antoine Semenyo of Bournemouth, who was a target of racist abuse in the first half that led to a pause in the game, pulled one back for the visitors in the 64th minute, and then completed a double 12 minutes later to rock Liverpool and shock the home fans. Yeah. But however, it looks like Chiesa then came off the bench and then sent the Anfield faithful away with an 88-minute strike after goalkeeper George Petrovic swatted away a ball into the box by Mo Salah, who scored himself deep into added time to wrap up the 3 points for Liverpool. And overall, in the end, it was a phenomenal win for Liverpool, as it gives the impression that they may be at it again in the beginning of their defense of the title. So, Melvin, what's your overall take on this game?
No, tactically it was a brilliant game. Though I believe once again the scoreline makes it seem as if it was running the park for Liverpool. It was not an easy game at all. They could very easily have lost that match.
Right.
Very, very, very easily. They showed certain deficiencies in defense that was true during the whole of their preseason.
Right.
So after the acquisition of Miles Kekes and Jeremy Frimpong, Slaw has been pushing both of his fullbacks very high up the pitch, especially when they get into the final third. And what that does is it leaves a rest defense of just two center backs most of the time, which is very risky, especially if you lose possession. And that is exactly how they conceded both goals from Antoine Semenyo. Counter attacks, and then there's just two people at the back defending. Everybody else has to run the length of the pitch to try and stop the threat. And then by the time they could recover, he had already scored. I saw this in preseason as well when they lost to AC Milan. Both fullbacks pushing very high up the pitch, and then they struggle to recover. So there's a lots of gaps on around their left side and right side. So I'm thinking if they do not find a way to patch this, it could be a very long season for them. I mean, the Premier League is very competitive, and on another day, Bournemouth could very easily have stolen the win there.
Right.
So, I mean, it's Anfield, so I'm sure that sort of helped them. Anyway, I'm back now. So, like I was saying, aside that, the attack is still as amazing as it was last season. I mean, Ekitike has sort of proved to be a well-informed signing for them. I believe they're still trying to get what's his name, the boy from Newcastle.
Isak.
Yeah, I believe they're still trying to get that transfer over the line, and that will make them really, really scary attack-wise. But I feel if they want to, retain their Premier League title, they probably have to find a way to sort the issues that they have in defense. I mean, Slot
Yeah.
has to come up with a way of stopping it, because if he insists on overlapping both of his what you call it, both of his fullbacks, then he has to come up with a solution. I mean, maybe he I don't know. I do not see them as having the sort of defensive midfielder that is fantastic in ball recovery and what you call it, interceptions during counter attacks. They have Gravenberg, who is really good, very press resistant, has a very high ability to progress play. What's his name? Endo Watara is decent as well, but if he insists on doing this, I don't think those two defensive midfielders will be able to, stop the counter attacking threats, because you need somebody who's really, really, really good, and they do not have that in that defensive midfield department. Even though Gravenberg is extremely amazing, he's not that type of profile. So I feel like it will be a good season for them, and that they'll score many goals. But the Premier League learns very, very quickly. And if Bournemouth have figured out that they are weak on the flanks, everybody else knows that as well. So there'll be a couple of difficult matches, a couple of tests here and there. I mean, everybody is going to play against them with a game plan, because the Premier League adapts very quickly. All in all, it was a really, really good opening to the league. It was a very nice game to see. I mean, both teams played really well. Lots of goals as well. So it was really interesting to see that game.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Liverpool were quite sloppy, I have to say, in the defense. Upon well, due to their sloppiness, Antoine Semenyo of Bournemouth was able to score twice in 12 minutes to level the score, which then dramatically changed the atmosphere in Anfield. But thankfully and miraculously, however, uh, as the game went on, late into it in the dying minutes, substitute Federico Chiesa would then volley home from close range in the front of the Kop end to put Liverpool 3-2 up in the 88th minute, and then eventually Mohamed Salah would then add a fourth late in stoppage time to seal the victory for Liverpool. But nonetheless, it was really an interesting game, and Liverpool really do need to work on their defense, indeed, yeah. And hopefully, Coach Anslot will definitely put in the necessary efforts in order to make that happen. So, with that
Yeah.
said, we'll then move on to the next match in the lineup. So it looks like Tottenham Hotspur began the Thomas Frank era in the Premier League with a convincing 3-0 victory at home over newly promoted side Burnley on Saturday, thanks to a majestic double from striker Richarlison, which included an acrobatic volley. Yeah, it was an amazing goal. Tottenham looked far sharper in attack. The Brazilian inspired Frank's first Premier League victory in charge of Spurs at the first time of asking, as he acrobatically volleyed in Mohamed Kudus's cross to score his side's second of the game. Frank can then thank the same duo, which would be Kudus and Richarlison, for the first goal of his reign too, as Kudus provided Richarlison's first of the afternoon when he found Tottenham's number 9 with a cross, which he finished with a volley, though not nearly as impressive as the second. Brennan Johnson added a third for Spurs, just as the euphoria of the second goal began to settle. However, with no match for the physicality and pace of last year's Europa League champions, Burnley were unable to respond at all to all the 3 goal concessions and fell to a defeat upon their return to the top flight league. So, what's also your take on this game?
I was not surprised at all to see them win. I mean, Thomas Frank is a highly respected coach among many of the players that have worked with him, and deservedly so. He showed that he was able to stamp his authority on his new crop of players within a very short time. They played his style. It wasn't as attacking as Postecoglou's. They were very sharp in attack and yet extremely secure in defense. So seeing that match, I did not think they would. I did not think they would concede at all. They looked really good. They were winning 50-50 balls. I mean, they were in the game from the first minute to the last. They looked relentless in the press as well. So watching the game live, I did not think they could lose, especially after Kudus' fantastic feats. His um, his play on the right wing was fantastic. I mean, he was good. He was recovering well, tracking back, making interceptions, tackles, moving forward, beating his opponents, getting in crosses, two of which ended in two goals for Richarlison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was fantastic. It looked like a Thomas Frank team. I mean, they were not. Usually, Thomas Frank's teams are usually extremely, disciplined, hardworking. You see the teamwork in how they play, they track back together, they attack together, they defend together, and that victory was a clear example of how Thomas Frank likes his team to play. So it was a really nice game to see. I expected them to win, and they did it in style. 3-0.
Yeah.
It looks like the league will be extremely competitive this season. I mean, but it's still early days. We'll see how it goes, but it's a really nice showing for your first game in charge. So I think Tottenham really did well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like a huge cheer from Tottenham's fans welcomed Thomas Frank into his new home stadium, and one of the three players he brought in from PSG's loss almost grabbed a 25-second opener. Kudus then picked out the recalled Lucas Bergvall, but his close range shot was thwarted by Burnley's debutant Martin Dubravka. Yeah, from the looks of it, but it would not open the floodgates though, as Burnley worked their way into the contest with a shot deflected by a player called Cristiano Romero before two other players of their side squandered opportunities. Okay, so with that said and done, we'll move from there and then focus on the game between Aston Villa and Newcastle United. Well, it looks like Newcastle demonstrated how united they are without Alexander Isak, who apparently was not able to start the game. But they would also show that they missed his goal scoring caliber. Newcastle lacked a cutting edge and drew at Aston Villa in the Premier League opening round on Saturday. So with Isak unavailable, as he continues to push for a move to Liverpool, it looks like Newcastle boss Eddie Howe was forced to play recognized winger Anthony Gordon up front. A new signing, Anthony Elanga, looked dangerous on the right of Newcastle's attack, but the visitors could not make the most out of their possession. The draw between the two sides, who look to compete for a place in the top six this season, was a better result for Villa, who will now remain unbeaten in the league at home for over a calendar year. So, what's also your take on this game?
Well. The Newcastle Villa game looked like a draw to me.
Right.
Though I must admit, I feel like if Isaac had played, Newcastle probably would have won based on the kind of chances they created and the fact that they failed. A couple of them fell to Anthony Gordon, who really wasn't, the type of profile that you'd wish should get those sort of chances in the 18-yard box for you. He's a decent player and all, but a proper, tried and tested striker would probably have buried a couple, if not one, at least, of those chances. So, I mean, I feel like that was the difference in that game. But during the match, there were certain spells where it didn't look like Aston Villa could score. I remember seeing a couple, several of their counter attacks thwarted like seconds after they started. Like they would recover the ball, try to initiate a counter attack, and I believe Morgan Rogers was probably the only person on the pitch for West Ham. Sorry, for Aston Villa, who was able to carry the ball, like forward, like drive with the ball, dribble through players, but it was not enough. They missed profiles like Leon Bailey in that game. It looked like they didn't have, the players who can take people on, who had the pace to initiate very effective counterattacks. So during the game, to me, I felt like that was the only way they could create chances because Newcastle was all over them. They were defending really well, Aston Villa, but they struggled to get the ball forward and make an impact in the game. So, and then for Newcastle, they were not sharp enough in attack. So, very early on, you could see that this match is most likely going to end in a draw. I I I don't know if Villa is still focused on getting in a couple of players because the transfer window is not yet closed. I feel
Yeah.
like they should probably be looking at a couple of wingers also. I mean, I did not like how stagnant it looked for them. It didn't look like they had the pace, the skill, and trickery to get the ball forward quickly, beat your man, try and whip in a cross or a pass or something. So I don't know what's going on with them, but it will be interesting to see how they perform moving forward. It was a decent game, goalless, but there was still a lot to take from it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It did look like, well, despite the efforts they put into the game, there was just nothing that was going to separate the two sides from start to finish. Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that said, we'll then look at the Sunderland game. So it looks like newly promoted side Sunderland. Well, they were able to defeat West Ham United 3 goals to nil as they made their return to the Premier League after 9 years. So Sunderland scored two fantastic headed goals at first to take the lead. So after their dire performances of last year, all eyes were on the Black Cats to see how they would adapt going up a level. It's the worst possible start to the season for Graham Potter's West Ham, and his side, who had a 64% of possession but failed to create anything of note, recording just 0.63 worth of expected goals from the 11 shots they made. So Sunderland's goalkeeper Robin Roves was rarely tested, but he did make a great stop to tip Callum Wilson's deflected header from a free kick over the bar in the 88th minute. So, and it is said that, well, from a source called Clinton Morrison, that West Ham are in complete trouble this season as they completely need new signings to boost their squad because they're really struggling at the moment. What's also your take on this game?
I was extremely surprised by the performance of Potter's West Ham. I mean, I thought they should have been able to, hold their heads up high, especially against the newly promoted side. Sunderland's first game in the Premier League in several years, and they didn't look up for it at all. I mean, conceding set pieces against a newly promoted side is something you should be very, very worried about. They are coming from the Championship. Set pieces is like their bread and butter.
Right.
This is what they do. This is something you should be expecting. They would love to cross the ball a lot. You could see it in the type of goals they scored. It looked like West Ham were not prepared for that sort of thing. They defended well as a unit, and West Ham struggled to break them down. So I'm I'm really not surprised. I feel like maybe West Ham, the kind of players that Potter has, is not well suited to the kind of football that he intends to, play over there. Trying to keep possession and progress play and be patient, and the stats tell it all. Your XG clearly shows that you could not create enough chances. You couldn't outsmart your opponent when they, fell into their compact block and tried to defend in front of their box. There was nothing really going on for them, and then West Ham just kept on creating chance after chance after chance, from counter attack. So I think there's something that the West Ham really need to look at. The profile of the players at the club is not necessarily the type that is, well suited for that type of football. At least, it's I feel like it's something certain managers need to look in.
Right.
I don't agree with having a particular fixed way of playing football, and then despite the players you have at your club, you still have to try to implement it by all means necessary. Because if you are not necessarily blessed financially, like West Ham, where you would be like maybe say Man City, where they'll be able to buy the exact profiles that they need in each particular position to implement, say, Pep Guardiola's possession-based, football. West Ham doesn't have that luxury, so I think as a manager you have to find certain leeways. There are certain compromises that you have to make, and I don't know. Maybe this defeat will let them know that this is probably not the way forward. They need to look at certain things tactically, or maybe it was just an off day for them, and then after this they can still keep playing the way they are playing and do well. But we'll live to see it. We'll see. You see how it goes. Though I did not agree with how they were trying to play that football. I felt like they needed to put in much more effort. Sunderland looked like they were much more prepared to fight for that game. It was a good game for Sunderland as well. It was at home. Their fans were cheering on. I mean, they deserved it. It was a very, very strong performance. It's football. If you are there and you are ready to play, more often than not, you can get something out of the game. They looked up for it. They were winning tackles. They were pressing. They were jumping 50-50 balls. They were shooting. If you don't shoot, you don't score, as
Right.
they say. And for West Ham to play a whole game and have less than 3 shots on target, it doesn't look like you're ready to win. I mean, they had about 3 or 4 shots on target. They created zero big chances. They missed zero big chances because they didn't create any of them. They had 7 corners, did nothing with them. I think Sunderland scored 1 goal or so from a set piece, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
That was crazy. The expected goal actually looked sort of, similar, but I feel like West Ham should do better in such a match. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Chelsea will be looking forward to playing against them if they're in this sort of state.
Yeah. As their next match is going to be against Chelsea. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it looks like, well, the Hammers broke into Sunderland's defensive third with Bowen releasing debutant El Hadji Diouf into the box, but his low finish was thwarted by Dan Ballard, who slid across to hook the goal-bound effort away. Yeah. Well, with how West Ham played against Sunderland, yeah, they didn't put up much of a performance at all to prove or show that they're a bit of a force to be reckoned with, as we've seen in recent years. Yeah. Okay. So with that said, we'll then move on to the game between Brighton and Fulham. So Brighton and Hove Albion were held to a 1-1 draw by Fulham in their Premier League opener. Matt O'Reilly made no mistake from the penalty spot after halftime and thought he had secured the 3 points for Fabian Huerzella's side in a game lacking clear-cut chances. But then, amazingly and from out of nowhere, deep into stoppage time, stepped up a player called Muniz with a finish. Yeah, he scored a finish low into the bottom left corner that ensured Fulham's. Fulham, they left the South Coast with a point secured for themselves in their Premier League's opener. So, what's also your take on this match?
This was a match that looked like how it played out. So Brighton created several chances in the game. Fulham were not pushovers and they fought till the end. They showed in the league goal that they were able to snatch away from them. I mean, Brighton fans might have said undeservedly, but Fulham fans will also say otherwise. So I
Right.
think it was a good game. Brighton probably should have won the match. I mean, if you ask me to concede that late, I always feel like I should fault the team that conceded the goal more than to praise the team that was able to score the goal. I feel like you should find ways to control the game, especially if goals are hard to come by and you've been able to get at least a goal and you're leading and it looks like time is winding down. I think you should find ways that you can control the game in your favor. Make sure that you don't give away certain types of set pieces at such, dire moments. But
Yeah.
it's still early days in the league, and I feel like Brighton and Fulham will have a good season for their standard, and this is an opening game. Brighton will probably learn from this and try to control games better, see them through. I'm expecting Fulham to also make a better, performance or a show of themselves. It is still early days for them, and Brighton have had certain outgoings, Adingra leaving and such, and I'm curious to see how the replacements, perform and the ideas the coach has for his squad this season. So yeah, that's my take on that game.
Yeah. Yeah. So even with that game, it looks like there were then penalty appeals from Fulham's bench when lively 18-year-old King went down into Albion's box under pressure from defender Jan Paul van Hecke and keeper Verbruggen. Yeah. But yeah, well, with Brighton, well, they have no one else to blame but themselves for
Mm.
conceding so late and for it to eventually lead to a draw. Okay. So with that said, we'll then look at the game between Chelsea and Crystal Palace. Yeah. Well, it proved to be a very frustrating afternoon at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea had to settle for a goalless draw against Crystal Palace in their Premier League opener. The Blues created chances in both halves, with new signing Esteval and Andre Santos among those who went close in the second half. And Palace saw a first half free kick, which converted to a goal, but it was ruled out after a VAR check because it was determined that there was a struggle between one of Crystal Palace's players along with a Chelsea defender, which then led to a foul, and so the free kick goal was ruled out. But despite enjoying 71% of the possession and creating more chances, the Blues, all in all, had to settle for a point against their London neighbours, Crystal Palace. Enzo Maresca then went on to say that, well, they tried their best and blamed a limited preseason on their lack of sharpness. Yeah, and it was indeed a tough game for them. Yeah, they expected a tough game because Crystal Palace have been proven themselves to be a force to be reckoned with upon being able to win the FA Cup last season, and then they going on to surprisingly and astonishingly winning the FA Community Shield when they drew at Liverpool, but then went on to win on penalties. Yeah. So, but apart from the first half free kick, Chelsea didn't concede any chances, but they showed that they are indeed a good team. They could have countered, they could have made their counter attacks better. They could have defended better, but it's just the first game of the season. So yeah. Well, yeah. So according to Maresca, they did indeed try their best, and at least they were able to secure a clean sheet. So what's your game on our beloved blue side of Chelsea?
Mm. It's The match was really hard and tough, and I expected nothing less from Crystal Palace. They showed signs of playing this way
Right.
for some time now. I mean, their victories against City, Liverpool, and such. they played exactly the same way. They can be very compact and then extremely devastating in their counterattacks. I mean, they have a lot of physical presence in their squad as well. So they are able to, assert dominance on the pitch, 50-50 balls and stuff. Mateta is probably one of the most physical strikers in the Premier League right now. So I expected a game that was going to be extremely hard. I mean, you can't just beat a club like that with, say, technical ability or with players who are better than them, just technically. You need to be strong as well. I mean, it showed in the free kick they scored. On another day last season, that probably would have been a goal that would have been allowed, and then we'll be here talking about Chelsea losing to Crystal Palace in their first game of the season. Because if you see the amount of strength and physicality that Gay put into shoving Caicedo aside, which then allowed AC to get a clear shot of his free kick on goal, which caught Sanchez off guard. So, I mean, I was glad. I was glad the referee decided to put that
Yeah.
out because, based on what I had seen in the match prior to that moment, I was telling myself it'll take something special for us to score because these guys are really compact and really physical. Um, Neto was struggling on the right hand side against Mitchell physically. Mitchell was doing a very good job of containing him, wasn't giving him space. He was shoving him left, right, physical. It was crazy. Gittins was lost on the right hand side, on the left hand side as well. Uh, I don't want to say he had a bad game. I just feel like Crystal Palace did a very, very good job at keeping him at bay. He struggled. I think I could probably remember maybe one or two shots that he was able to take. It was hard for him to find space. I feel like he should probably have been more relentless. I think Chelsea's winger should have probably taken a bit more, risk in trying to get the ball forward. I feel like they should have tried to penetrate more. I mean, like I wanted them to try and dribble through with the ball, despite how compact it looked like Crystal Palace had set themselves up. I feel like they had the technical ability to do that. So I feel like they should have used that to their advantage, like to try. Even if you keep losing the ball, I mean, I wanted them to believe in themselves and in their teammates and in the whole squad's overall ability to recover the ball in the counter press. So I wanted them to be a bit more direct in their dribbling. I mean, I felt like if that was the case, even if you're not able to go all the way to a dangerous area to get a crossing, I mean, constantly trying to dribble through them, you can win a foul in a dangerous area. You can create another kind of chance through a set piece. You can even get a penalty for your efforts. So I wanted to see much more than what I saw from the two wingers that started the game for Chelsea. And so I would say one of the positives of the game for me was when Esteva was brought on, and instantly he took on Mitchell, was able to get past him, got across to the far post. I should think it was Kukureya who was there. He was not able to get his head under the ball. And I wanted to see more of that. I needed like that on the opposite side of the pitch as well. Like the whole game, you need stuff like that against teams that like to play very compact. You need lots of like tricky wingers who are relentless, who don't give up. Like even if he the opposition defender successfully wins the ball from him like 10 times, I still need him to keep pushing, keep trying to move the ball forward through that space. But aside that, I mean, they were still able to create certain decent chances. There was a chance for Liam Delap after he was able to turn his defender. He tried a half volley. It was not a bad shot. I feel like if he had looked around a bit, he would have seen Esteval cutting in and under him going. I feel like a pass to him there would have been a clear chance at goal because I feel like it was a bit too far to shoot from where he was, and he's a striker, so I can never fault him for having a shot at goal. But I feel like a pass there would have been a better decision. And also, Andre Santos had a nice chance in the final minutes of the game where His guy did, if he has scored, would have been fantastic. But it's one of those things. And despite all of that, I think I should praise Crystal Palace. They were very compact, and Chelsea's defended. I think they overall did a good job. After that free kick, Palace didn't look like they could have, scored a goal anymore. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, but I still feel like Chelsea's defender, I mean, wingers need to be a bit more relentless. The squad has known each other for a whole, season now. They've won, two trophies. I mean, there's been a couple of signings here and there, but I feel like they need to gel a bit more. We also need to take into account the fact that they've not had really much of a preseason based on how long the previous season was for them,
Yeah.
and all of that. So I feel like they'll ease into it, but the Premier League really does not have the patience for you to ease into it. So they need to really like show up, in their next game against West Ham, who looked out of sorts against Sunderland. So they need to capitalize on that, get a couple of goals in, another clean sheet, and then they can move forward. That aside, I don't think it was a bad performance. It was a hard game to play, but I feel like it can be a good season for them. I must also point out that in that game, to me, Enzo looked a little bit lost, both mentally and physically, because in certain aspects, he looked like he was behind the play. I I saw certain passes that should have been, I felt like Enzo in his right frame of mind, physically and mentally as well. I mean, I was expecting those passes to have been, one time based on the sort of vision that he has showed when he plays in midfield and stuff. I expected certain passes that should have been first time, because there are certain type of chances that when you create them in the final third, with a team like Crystal Palace that likes to be compact, once the space opens up, if you delay for a couple of seconds, it closes up again. So I I needed him to be a bit more quick in his passing release, but you can't always, get your wishes. So I just feel like it's probably the lack of match sharpness, because they've not had a much of a preseason and stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like with training this week before they play against West Ham, I feel like we should get a much better performance from them. But it was a decent game.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, certainly. Yeah, I mean, it's just the opening match of the season. Even though Chelsea didn't have that many preseason friendlies to play, they were really impressive, especially in the game against AC Milan when they won 4-1. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very, yeah. It was an amazing performance put up by Chelsea, but specifically with this Crystal Palace game, Chelsea were really struggling, especially to convert the shots they took, specifically to have the shots be on target. Uh, it looked like they were struggling to, yeah, well, really kick the ball right at goal or into goal, with most of their shots just going sky high or out of bounds. Yeah, but overall, they really struggled. Well, they didn't expect that it would be an easy game for them to play, but overall,
yeah,
yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. So with that said and done, we'll then look at Manchester City's game against Wolves. So Manchester City cruised to a big 4-0 win victory. Well, not so surprisingly, over Wolves on their opening weekend of the Premier League season, to jump straight to the top of the table in an announcement that their previous troubles are behind them. Pep Guardiola's side stuck doggedly to their task against the stubborn Wolves side at Molinox, their Molinox Stadium, and held a high defensive line, which proved useful in catching Marshall Munetzi's offside when he thought he'd scored the opening goal. But instead, that honor went to Erling Haaland, who arrived at the back post to tap home a squared pass before adding another in the second half. Well, the match then came to a tame end, but in truth, it was well over and done with, long before it even came to an end. And it looks like City may be back again this season, and it looks like they're back with a bang, and they may be making attempts to be impressive as they've done in very recent years. What's also your take on this game?
I was not surprised at all. Sami City have got the money,
Yeah.
and based on the kind of signings that they were interested in, and they were able to get almost all of them into the squad. I was not surprised by that performance. I noticed his acquisition of a new assistant coach because he wanted to implement certain new ideas into his attack. You know, because of how last season went and how it looked like Premier League teams have sort of figured out how to defend against them. Matches were much more tougher for them. So they brought in a new assistant coach who's supposed to be an expert in how to split what do you call it, to use two nines to split the opposition defenders. So I noticed all of those principles in the game for them. I was not surprised. They were able to get players who could do that for them, and they showed in the game. Tijani Reinders was fantastic. Cherky was brilliant. Doku played well. Alan has always been as clinical as always. You could almost not fault them. The match was fantastic for them. It looked
Yeah.
shaky at first, but everything, went successfully. And City usually starts the season like this, getting in lots of goals.
Yeah.
4-0 here, 3-0 here, this there, that there. So I wasn't surprised at all. I could see the performance. The signings look like they've settled in extremely well. Reinders had a really fantastic game. He looked like the complete midfielder, ability to intercept balls, win tackles, move forward, beat his man, find the right pass. I mean, his goal, and then there was this build up where I think he ran through about two men, was able to chip the ball over for Cherky, I believe, also who then squared it, and then Haaland tapped it in. It was a brilliant game. I mean, it's always fun to see City, especially when they played as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I saw the squad and then the ideas that I knew that Pep was trying to implement this season, and I understood perfectly that it was going to go well for them. I'm not surprised at all by the outcome of the game. They did really well. I'm looking forward to this season. If I mean, I want to see if they're able to challenge Liverpool. I believe so. So it will be very nice to see that dynamic, the contrast
Yeah.
between those two clubs. It will be very, very interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. With both the citizens and the Reds, well, not so surprisingly, being able to secure their victory on the opening matches of this new Premier League campaign, we shouldn't be surprised to see if these two clubs have a tight head-to-head, a tight head-to-head race for the title. Yeah. Well, provided that if it does indeed come down to just them, well, let's say at the latter part of the season, yeah, I'm predicting that it would definitely be a tight race between Manchester City and Liverpool. Yeah, yeah. Well, with other clubs also competing against them, if not just for securing our top four
Yeah.
spots. Yeah. So yeah, so with that also said and done, we then turn our attention to Nottingham Forest's game with Brentford. So Nottingham Forest produced an irresistible first half performance as they coasted past Brentford to kick their Premier League campaign off in style. The Reds raced into a three-goal lead before they broke as two goals from Chris Wood and a header from debutant Dan Ndoye sealed all 3 points for them. Brentford fell behind inside the opening 5 minutes. Elliot Anderson's in swinging corner, won by Callum Hudson-Odoi, a former Blue, dropped kindly for Wood, and then the New Zealand international stabbed a bouncing ball beyond Kelleher and into the far corner. Well, with this game, what's also your take on it?
No, I thought we're talking about Forest, right?
Yeah, Nottingham Forest. Yeah,
I'm not surprised at all. Nuno Espirito Santo, oh my god. I like how compact he always is. I
yeah,
don't know if they'll be able to live up to their performances last season, because last season they were brilliant. For most of the season, they looked like they'll be in the Champions League spot.
yeah,
Chelsea had to steal that away from them, though. But I mean, I'm not surprised. They made certain signings that look good. They were able to retain a couple of, their best performance from last season. Morgan
yeah,
Gibbs White, an example. And they played like how you'd expect them to play. Highly, highly, highly effective team. They can be very, very hard to break down. And they are really wicked. Their counter attack is wicked. Their build up is very, very effective. Chris Wood is probably one of the best finishers in the Premier League. He's really, really good at getting his shots on target. Like, he's a pure striker, complete striker. Might not be the fastest, but if he's in beyond you and he has the time and space to shoot, he's very likely getting it into the back of the net. So in that game, I wasn't surprised. I would have put my money on Nottingham Forest to win it.
Mm,
They usually, when you look at them when they play, they look really compact and extremely disciplined, and they are sort of low mid block hybrid that they try to play. I think if I remember correctly, there was a second goal or so that they won in midfield, and it's because of how compact they had remained, and the opposition tried to play a risky pass through the lines in the midfield. It was intercepted, and then one pass straight to Chris Wood broke the line. All he had to do was run for it, beat the keeper, put it in the net. Fantastic performance from them. I cannot fault anything that they did. It's just like they did last season. It, and I'll say, what can I say about it? I can all I can say is Brentford have lost their manager Thomas Frank now. There's a
mhm.
new manager with different ideas, so you'd expect some of these things to go the way of Nottingham Forest. I say maybe they've been with Espirito Santo for a while now. This is an entirely new coach with different ideas for Brentford. They'll have to adjust, try to understand how he wants them to play, what he wants them to do. So I'm not surprised by the outcome of this game at all. It was a very nice game to watch. If you are interested in seeing counter-attacking football and disciplined football, you should watch Nottingham Forest. They are really nice to see. Brentford tried. They were
Yeah.
not entirely out of the game. They played well, but I feel like when you come up in your first game of the season, especially under a new coach against a team that has been well drilled, have been playing together for some time. They've gotten a couple of players who have improved their squad. It's sometimes a struggle, to try and come out with 3 points in such games. So they gave it a good try. I'm not expecting them to have a terrible season at all, Brentford. I feel like they should be able to bounce back from this.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Nottingham Forest looks like they may be at it again, and this time, who knows? Uh, Probably by the end of the season, they could even secure a top four spots for themselves as this new Premier League campaign is underway. So, with that all said and done, we'll look at the final game that took place this weekend between Manchester United and Arsenal, which was Derby Day, the
Hmm.
biggest game so far that has taken place in the Premier League and at the very start too. So it looks like Arsenal started their 2025-2026 Premier League campaign with a win, beating Manchester United 1-0 at Old Trafford. Ricardo Calafiore got the game's only game, nodding in on the goal line in the 13th minute after Alte Bayinder made a real mess of Declan Rice's in swing corner. There were promising moments for United throughout, but they couldn't find a way past David Raya, Arsenal's goalkeeper, because the Spaniard made fine saves to deny new boys Matheus Cunha, who was excellent, and Brian Mbuembo, who, apparently both sides were deeply flawed, perhaps the result of they partaking in preseason and the preseason making them rusty. But United were the dominant side with more than 60% possession and upwards of 20 shots in the hopes of scoring an equalizer. The Red Devils seemed imbalanced throughout and lacked quality in their opportunities, though the Gunners, Arsenal, their attacking operation was almost non existent in the second half as they did little to extend their lead. And overall, in the end, Arteta's Arsenal team dug in to win 3 points to start their campaign. So yeah, with this last story, what's also your take on it?
It was a really good game to see. Um, Basically, I was interested in seeing Manchester United's improvement. Sometimes it was difficult to notice it in their preseason fixtures. So I wanted to see if maybe it was just a mental thing, and the players would be able to, you know, bring it on the opening day. And for the most part, I could see that. I think they played well. I mean, I was not surprised by that goal that Arsenal scored. I mean, I think that's their bread and butter these days. If you're not careful, you'll concede a set piece goal from them. And then if you concede it as well and you are still playing really well, they probably won't score anymore. And then the game will end 1-0 and then it's over. They've gone with the 3 points. Because at the end of the day, who cares about the amount of goals you score as long as you win the game? So
Right.
Man United did give a better performance though. I could see them winning the ball back in midfield, executing counter attacks, getting their shots on target. Mbuemo was absolutely brilliant. He was amazing to see. A very, very hard working player, if I ever saw one. Tracking back, winning tackles, moving forward, getting shots off, take ons, strong, perfect. He fits in perfectly for Amorim. Cunha was amazing as well. I mean, I want to be on the hopeful side and say this could be a good season for them. Like they should probably perform way better than they did last season. I saw from their performance that it meant a lot to the players to have a good game when they played. They looked like they were defending for each other. They were trying their best to win 50-50 balls. It's something that was missing for a couple of seasons now. You see certain Man United players walking like they do not care about the outcome of the game and stuff. But yesterday they ran for each other, they passed, they crossed, they pressed, they tackled, they tried their best. Unfortunately, they came up against a team that is extremely good at set pieces. And some people would say the goalkeeper's blunder was not necessarily a blunder. They would try to call a foul because Saliba was, sort of impeding the keeper from moving and certain things. But they've been doing it for a couple of seasons now, and they are still able to, get it done without any referee calling
Mm.
anything. So I feel like it was always going to be a difficult first game against them because they're playing against a team that has been together for a couple of years now. They've been learning certain patterns of play, certain set pieces, certain structures, certain sequences. So it is more than likely that Arsenal would win that game, and that is exactly what happened. I'm not too surprised at it, but I was interested in seeing Man United's performance in that game, and I liked what I saw. I hope that they did not just rise up to the occasion because it's a derby match and then there were, tempers everywhere, and that's probably why they did, well performance wise. But I hope they approach each game this season in the same, vein, in the same with the same attitude. I think if they're able to do just that, they should have a much more, fruitful season than they did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, a very tight game for United. Well, they put in their best, but Arsenal eventually came out on top. Yeah, the atmosphere was as intense as Manchester United start as they flew out the blocks in the summer sun, with Mbeumo getting an early attempt on goal as they tried to, well, get on ahead and even try to win the game up on bossing the play and also dominating possession. Yeah, all in all, yeah, a very tight game, but in the end, well, they did as much as they could, and well, it just wasn't enough. Okay, so with that all said and done, that wraps up today's session. Yeah, so once again, it looks like, in summary, today's session was filled with an exciting showcase of the games that took place this very weekend as we dived into details and information about all the matches that took place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we kindly encourage you to please make sure to leave any comments in the comment section and give a reaction, whether it's in the form of a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Whether you're a regular fan or just a casual, I also encourage that if you want to see more content and experience the magic of being part of Halftime 360, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And well, it looks like that wraps things up for today. We'll very much see you next time. Thank you for your time and attention, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, Melvin, thanks for being my co-host as we look
You're
forward
very
to
welcome.
an exciting yeah, campaign with the Premier League and also with other leagues and tournaments that take place, especially in Europe. And we'll see you all next time to enjoy more exciting news about the beautiful game. We're over and out. Take care and peace.
Peace.